Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Nicole, and in today's video I'm sharing with you 4 powerful rhetorical strategies called the modes of persuasion. These 4 persuasive techniques are essential for making any argument compelling. You can use them in a persuasive essay, in a blog post, in a speech, in the words on your website, anytime you have an important message to share with your readers and you're trying to persuade them to take action, form a new opinion, or take a big step that will change their life. When I'm working on a persuasive piece and my argument does not feel as powerful and convincing as it should, it's usually because it's missing one or more of the 4 modes of persuasion. So let's dive in and see how you can use them in your writing. What are the 4 modes of persuasion? Allow me to transport us to ancient Greece. Aristotle introduced the modes of persuasion in his book Rhetoric. The first 3 modes he identified as ethos, pathos, and logos. He wrote, "The first kind depends on the personal character of the speaker, the second on putting the audience into a certain frame of mind, the third on the proof or apparent proof provided by the words of the speech itself." We'll dive into exactly what all that means in a second. Kairos is the 4th mode, which, in Greek, means right or opportune moment. While Aristotle did not group it together with the first 3 modes, he did mention the concept throughout Rhetoric. Many scholars now consider it of equal importance to the first 3 modes. Let's look now at how we can use these 4 modes of persuasion to make our writing more powerful and convincing to our readers. We'll start with rhetorical strategy number 1, how to persuade with ethos. The Greek word ethos means character. When used in the context of rhetoric, it refers to the authority or credibility of the speaker. Whenever anyone presents an argument, we first evaluate whether or not we can trust them. For example, if you were seriously ill, which I hope never happens, you'd probably trust your doctor's advice rather than your friend's. Sure, your friend may have done a lot of research on the internet, but your doctor has authority and experience. They've trained for years and treated thousands of patients. If you are suffering from a less serious illness, however, you might trust the advice of a friend or loved one who has personal experience. For example, if you woke up one day with a cough and sore throat, you'd probably trust your mom's advice to have a bowl of her chicken soup. Similarly, when we read a piece of writing, we look for ways to determine the writer's credibility. We ask, "Why should I believe you?" In the book StoryBrand, Donald Miller describes the research of Harvard business professor Amy Cuddy, who has spent more than 15 years studying how business leaders can make a positive first impression. Miller writes, "Cuddy distilled her research into 2 questions people subconsciously ask when meeting someone new. Can I trust this person? And can I respect this person?" In her book, Presence, Cuddy explains human beings value trust so highly, it's only after trust is established that a person begins to consider getting to know us further. So how can we establish trust with our readers? Here are 4 examples. First, we can share personal stories that show we have experience with the topic. Let's say, for example, you are writing a blog post or an essay about the importance for writers of going for daily walks and how it helps boost creativity. You could share your own personal story about how a daily walk has helped you. Second, we can show that other people trust us. If you're selling a product, one of the best ways to do this is with reviews. Glowing reviews are an indicator that other people trust a company and love their product. That's why you're more likely to buy the product on Amazon that has thousands of 4- and 5-star reviews rather than the one that only has 1 or 2. A freelance writer can share testimonials on her website from happy clients who praise the quality of her writing. An author can share an endorsement on the cover of her book from a well-known expert. Third, we can point to our qualifications. This might be a degree like a PhD, work experience, or awards. For example, a blogger might share logos on their homepage of the many authoritative websites where they've been published. A business owner might write on their About page about how long they've been in business. Fourth, we can show we care about our readers or customers. We can demonstrate qualities like compassion and empathy in order to build trust. Many businesses offer a 100% satisfaction guarantee on their products to alleviate customers' concerns when placing an order. Bloggers can write in a conversational style, addressing readers as friends rather than in a standoffish, overly formal tone. I'll put a link in the description sharing an article I wrote about how to write conversationally. Rhetorical strategy number 2. How to persuade with pathos. The Greek word pathos means suffering, experience, or emotion. As Aristotle explained, this technique has to do with putting your readers into a certain frame of mind. That means you're trying to appeal to your readers' emotions. The most effective way to do this is through stories. Stories engage a person's brain far more powerfully than data and abstract language can. Scientists have discovered that when you read a story about someone running or jumping, for example, there's activity in the motor cortex of your brain. So whether you're reading about someone running or running in real life, the same neurological regions are stimulated. Pretty cool, right? When you tell your readers about the tears stinging someone's eyes, their brain tries to feel that. When you tell them about the scent of apple pie coming from the kitchen, their brain tries to smell that too. Ultimately, your stories will not only make your writing more engaging and easier to understand, but they will also make your writing more memorable. According to an article in Forbes, cognitive psychologist Jerome Bruner suggests we are 22 times more likely to remember a fact when it has been wrapped in a story. And that means stories are powerfully persuasive. Large numbers and generalizations do not act on our emotions the same way a vivid story about individuals does. An article about finding a cure for Alzheimer's, for example, with stories of Alzheimer's sufferers and their families, is far more powerful than one that only quotes studies and statistics. Those stories will impact your readers more than any study or stat could. And going back to our example of writing a blog post about why writers should go for a daily walk, we can make our argument even stronger by including stories not only about our personal experience, but also about other writers, maybe famous writers in history, and how walks helped them boost their creativity. Of course, stories filled with pathos aren't only for blog posts or essays. You can use pathos in a product description to describe how a craftsman built a piece of furniture with love and care, how beautiful the piece of furniture will look in a person's home, and how it will be able to be passed down in the family as an heirloom. Ultimately, with a dash of pathos, you can increase trust with your readers and make them laugh or cry or feel proud or hopeful. Pictures are another way to employ pathos. As the saying goes, a picture's worth 1,000 words. Sharing a photo of yourself on your blog shows readers that you're a real human being. Photos and blog posts pique a reader's curiosity and make an emotional connection. They also help readers visualize the concept or product. When you're buying a product, say a piece of furniture, you probably like to see a photo of it in the product description, and you're probably even more likely to buy it if the company showed a photo of how the piece of furniture would look in a beautifully decorated room. Even better if other buyers shared photos in their reviews of how the piece of furniture looks in their homes. While pathos is a necessary ingredient for making your writing compelling, avoid using it on its own without any accompanying logic or facts. You don't want to end up manipulating your readers' emotions. In fact, appeal to emotion is considered a logical fallacy if you don't have any factual evidence to back up your statements. So now we'll look at how we can use the rhetorical strategy logos as well. Rhetorical strategy number 3. How to persuade with logos. Logos means word or reason in Greek. In the sense in which Aristotle used it, it means to appeal to reason or logic. It's the proof you present to show that your method works, that your position is rock solid, that your claims are accurate. While some people can be swayed by pure pathos alone, there are many others who will think you're trying to dupe them if you don't present facts and figures. This is a pretty straightforward step, so I'll just give 3 examples of some ways you can use logos. First, you can quote outside sources in your blog posts or essays to support your arguments. For example, referencing a scientific study, a statistic, a book by an authority, etc. Instead of making an unsupported claim, for example, most people find it difficult to exercise, you could back it up with proof. For example, this recent study shows that over 80% of people who join a gym only use their membership once or twice. Second, you can present numbers and data that show how your product has been successful. Many businesses share case studies on their websites. A case study is a detailed write-up of how the business helped a customer. For example, a copywriter might share a step-by-step case study of how they helped a company rewrite their homepage and increase conversions and sales. Third, you can list all of your product's features. Be sure you also include how each of those features will benefit the customer. So, to return to our blog post about going for a daily walk, we'd want to strengthen our argument by including scientific studies about the benefits of walking and how walking is tied to creativity. Rhetorical strategy number 4, how to persuade with kairos. We now arrive at the last piece of the puzzle, kairos. Essentially, this word means proper time and timing. An article on the website Writing Commons explains kairos in this way. In Greek, both kairos and chronos literally mean time, but kairos does not mean time in the same sense as used in contemporary English. In Greek, kairos represents a kind of qualitative time, as in the right time. Kairos means taking advantage of or even creating a perfect moment to deliver a particular message. For example, an article about why it's important to register to vote might have readers nodding their heads in agreement. They might think, sure, I'll get around to registering eventually. But the odds are most readers probably won't register anytime soon. However, if the author writes that article several months before an upcoming important election and tells readers that they only have a few weeks left to register, the author's argument has now become even more persuasive. It's given the readers a reason to act now, a sense of urgency. So in a sense, you can think of kairos as the urgency strategy. To make your argument more persuasive, show your readers or potential customers why it's imperative for them to change their thinking or buy your product now. Marketers do this by offering sales, especially ones tied to a time of the year, like a Black Friday sale, and limited time offers. In a blog post or essay, you can point out the negative consequences if someone doesn't take a certain course of action. For example, with our blog post about the importance of going for a daily walk, you might list the immediate and long-term negative consequences of sitting all day long. If urgency doesn't come into play with the topic you're writing about, you can still employ kairos to give your article relevancy. If you write a blog post during the Christmas season, for example, you might include a story that touches on the Christmas festivities. And now you are equipped with the 4 rhetorical strategies known as the modes of persuasion. Ethos, appeal to character; pathos, appeal to emotion; logos, appeal to logic; and kairos, appeal to urgency or relevancy. I hope this video helps you with your writing. These 4 modes of persuasion are like the 4 legs of a table. Take one away and the table will no longer stand. Similarly, the 4 modes of persuasion are all equally important for making your arguments effective and your writing compelling. Make sure to give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this one, and I'll also put a link in the description to more writing resources, and also to a blog post version of this video that you can print out that contains more examples of the modes of persuasion. Thanks so much for watching. Have a fantastic week. God bless, and I wish you all the best with your writing projects.